The slap never landed. Chukwuemeka Okafor's hand froze mid-air, suspended like a question mark above the trembling homeless woman who had grabbed his wrist. His expensive Italian leather shoes, worth more than most Lagosians earned in 3 months, were now splattered with the murky puddle water she'd stumbled through to reach him. "Don't," the homeless woman whispered, her voice cracking like dried earth. "Don't slap her. She's your missing mother." The words hit harder than any physical blow could have. Traffic on Victoria Island's Amadabello Way slowed as drivers craned their necks to witness the spectacle. A billionaire, the Chukwuemeka Okafor, whose face graced billboards across West Africa, being accosted by a madwoman outside the Crystal Towers, his own luxury high-rise. "Security," Chukwuemeka barked, his dark eyes blazing with fury. His navy blue Tom Ford suit caught the harsh Lego sun as he tried to shake off the woman's surprisingly strong grip. "Get this lunatic away from me." But the homeless woman, her wrapper torn and faded, her gray dreadlocks matted with street dust, held firm. Her own eyes, bloodshot and weary, locked onto the elegant older woman standing frozen on the marble steps behind Chukwuemeka. That woman, Adaeze, wore a cream ochre dress that probably cost more than a teacher's monthly salary. Her gold jewelry caught the light, and her freshly done cornrows were pulled back with expensive-looking pins. She was beautiful, refined, everything a billionaire's companion should be. But her face had gone pale, like someone who'd just seen a ghost walk out of a cemetery. What would you do if a homeless stranger stopped you from confronting someone in public? Hit like if you've ever been caught in shocking family drama. And comment below where you're watching from. "Mama Chioma, please," one of the security guards pleaded, approaching cautiously. Everyone in the Victoria Island area knew the homeless woman. She usually kept to herself, sleeping under the Falomo Bridge, collecting bottles for recycling. She wasn't violent. She wasn't trouble. Until today. "I'm not mad," Mama Chioma said, her voice gaining strength. "Look at her eyes, Oga Chukwuemeka. Look at your woman's eyes and tell me you don't see the fear." Chukwuemeka finally yanked his hand free, his jaw clenched so tight it could crack diamonds. "I don't have time for this madness. Adaeze, get in the car." But Adaeze didn't move. She stood paralyzed on those marble steps, one hand clutching her designer handbag like a shield, the other pressed against her chest. Her lips trembled, forming words that wouldn't come. "You want to slap her because she won't tell you about your mother," Mama Chioma continued, backing away slowly but keeping her eyes fixed on Adaeze. "You want to beat her because she said she doesn't know where Obiageli went 25 years ago. But she knows. Oh, she knows everything." The name hit Chukwuemeka like a thunderbolt. Obiageli, his mother, the woman who had vanished when he was just 7 years old, leaving him with a father who drank himself to death within 3 years. The ghost that haunted every success, every achievement, every billion naira he earned. "How do you know my mother's name?" His voice dropped to a dangerous whisper. The gathering crowd pressed closer. Office workers on lunch break, street vendors, Okada riders, all drawn to the public disgrace unfolding before them. Phones appeared, recording the scene. By evening, this would be trending on Nigerian Twitter. #Billionaire Okafor drama. Mama Chioma's cracked lips curved into something between a smile and a grimace. "Because I was there the day she disappeared. I was the housemaid in your father's compound in Suralere. I was the one who saw everything." Adaeze made a small sound, half gasp, half sob, and suddenly turned to run. But her expensive heels betrayed her on the polished marble. She stumbled, her handbag flying open, contents scattering across the steps. And there, among the lipsticks and credit cards and designer sunglasses, was a photograph. Old and faded, edges worn from handling. Even from several feet away, Chukwuemeka could see it clearly. A young woman in traditional wrapper and blouse, holding a baby boy. The woman had kind eyes and a gentle smile. The baby wore a white christening gown. Chukwuemeka felt his knees weaken. He knew that photograph. It was the only picture he had of his mother, kept in a safe in his bedroom. Or so he thought. "Why do you have my mother's picture?" he demanded, advancing on Adaeze. She scrambled to gather her belongings, tears now streaming down her carefully made-up face. "Chukwuemeka, I can explain. That's not just any picture," Mama Chioma interrupted. "Look closer, Oga. Look at what's written on the back." The crowd pressed even tighter. Someone started a Facebook Live. This wasn't just gossip anymore. This was history unfolding. Secrets 25 years buried suddenly erupting into the harsh Lagos daylight. Chukwuemeka snatched the photograph from the ground before Adaeze could reach it. His hands shook as he turned it over. The handwriting was faded but unmistakable. "To my sister Adanna, with love from Obiageli. May our sons grow up as brothers." 1999. The world tilted. Adanna. Sister. Brothers. Chukwuemeka looked up at Adaeze. The woman he'd been seeing for 6 months. The woman he'd introduced to his business partners. The woman he'd almost proposed to last week at that expensive restaurant in Ikoyi. "Your name isn't really Adaeze, is it?" His voice came out strangled. She was crying now, mascara running down her cheeks in black rivers. "Please, let me explain. It's not what you think. Your name is Adanna." It wasn't a question. "And if my mother had a sister, that means—" His mind raced, connecting dots he'd never wanted to see. "Where's my mother? Where's Obiageli?" Mama Chioma stepped forward again, her torn wrapper fluttering in the breeze that carried the scent of Lagos. Diesel fumes, suya spice, and desperation. "Your mother isn't missing, Oga Chukwuemeka," she said softly. "She's been in Lagos all along. And this woman knows exactly where." Adanna, not Adaeze, collapsed onto the steps, her sobs echoing off the glass towers. The crowd murmured, a wave of shock rippling through them. "Where is she?" Chukwuemeka's voice rose. "Where is my mother?" Mama Chioma pointed one gnarled finger down the street, toward the underpass where the city's forgotten lived in cardboard shelters and tattered dreams. "She's closer than you think, Oga. And when you find her, you'll understand why this woman has been lying to you. You'll understand what your aunt did 25 years ago. And you'll understand why I couldn't stay silent anymore." Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more gripping stories like this. What do you think Adanna is hiding? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. The private hospital room in Ikoyi smelled of antiseptic and expensive flowers. Chukwuemeka had brought Adanna here after she collapsed on the steps, not out of love anymore, but because he needed answers and she was the only one who could provide them. She lay on the hospital bed now, for drip in her arm, her makeup washed away to reveal a face lined with years of secrets. Without the designer clothes and jewelry, she looked older, tired, haunted. "Start talking," Chukwuemeka said from his position by the window. Outside, Lagos continued its eternal dance, generators humming, traffic flowing, life moving forward while his own felt frozen in time. "And don't you dare lie to me again." Mama Chioma sat in the corner, brought here by Chukwuemeka's driver. She'd refused to leave, saying she needed to make sure the truth finally came out. The nurses had tried to remove her, a homeless woman in their pristine facility, but one look from Chukwuemeka had silenced their protests. Adanna's eyes remained fixed on the ceiling. "My real name is Adanna Obi. Obiageli was my younger sister." "Was?" Chukwuemeka's voice cracked on the word. "Is," Adanna corrected quickly. "Is my younger sister. She's alive." Relief and rage warred in Chukwuemeka's chest. "Then where has she been for 25 years? Why did she abandon me?" "She didn't abandon you." Adanna finally looked at him, and the pain in her eyes was almost physical. "I took you from her." The words hung in the air like smoke. Chukwuemeka felt his legs give way, and he sank into the visitor's chair. "What? Your father, Chukwuemeka Okafor, was my husband first," Adanna said, her voice barely above a whisper. "We married in 1995. I couldn't have children, The doctors said it was impossible. Akinna's family pressured him to take a second wife, someone who could give him sons. Mama Chioma nodded from her corner. I remember the family meetings, the shouting. Oga Akinna didn't want to, but his mother insisted. So he married Obiageli, Adanna continued. My own sister. She was only 19, fresh from university. So young, so beautiful, so fertile. The last word came out like poison. Within a year, she was pregnant with you. Chukwuemeka's hands gripped the chair arms until his knuckles went white. Outside, he could hear Lagos traffic, car horns blaring, life continuing as if his entire existence hadn't just been revealed as a lie. I try to be happy for her, Adanna said. I tried to love you as my own. For a while, it worked. Obiageli and I were sisters first, co-wives second. We raised you together. You called her Mama, and me and Adanna. Do you remember? A flash of memory, so old it felt like a dream. A woman's laugh, high and bright. Two women in the kitchen, cooking jollof rice, the smell of tomatoes and spices. One woman lifting him up, spinning him around while the other clapped. I remember two women, he whispered. I thought I'd imagined it. You didn't imagine anything, Mama Chioma interjected. Those first few years, that compound in Surulere was full of love. Two wives who were sisters, making it work. Oga Akinna was the problem. Adanna's face hardened. Akinna started drinking. Business problems, he said. But really it was shame. Shame that he needed a second wife. Shame that his family had forced him. He took it out on both of us, but especially on Obiageli. She was younger, more vulnerable. He hit her. Chukwuemeka felt sick. Worse, he would spend all his money on alcohol, leave us with nothing. Then he'd rage about how useless we both were. Obiageli bore the worst of it, because she'd given him what I couldn't, a son. It twisted something in him. The hospital room felt too small, too airless. Chukwuemeka stood and paced to the window again, pressing his forehead against the cool glass. Below, he could see the hospital's manicured gardens, so different from the chaotic streets of Surulere where his childhood had unfolded. So what happened, he demanded. Why did she leave? Why did everyone tell me she abandoned us? Adanna's eyes filled with tears. Because I told them that's what happened. The confession dropped like a bomb. Mama Chioma shifted in her chair, her face grave. January 15th, 2000, Adanna continued, her voice shaking. Akinna came home drunk again. He started beating Obiageli because dinner wasn't ready. You were crying, trying to stop him. He pushed you so hard you hit your head on the wall. Chukwuemeka's hand unconsciously went to the small scar above his left eyebrow. He'd always been told he got it from falling off a bicycle. Obiageli fought back that night, Adanna said. For the first time, she fought back. She scratched his face, drew blood. He went crazy. He said he was going to kill her, that she was worthless, that he wished he'd never married her. And you did nothing? Chukwuemeka's voice was ice. I did worse than nothing. Adanna's tears flowed freely now. I saw my chance. The chance I'd been praying for since the day she married my husband. I told Obiageli to run, that I would protect you. I told her Akinna would kill her if she stayed. You helped her escape? No. The word was barely audible. I drove her to the motor park, gave her money for a bus to the east, told her to go back to our village, that I would bring you to her when things calmed down. She believed me. She trusted me. Mama Chioma made a sound of disgust. But you never brought him. I never brought him, Adanna confirmed. Instead, I went back to the compound and told Akinna she'd run away. Abandoned her son. Abandoned her marriage. I said she'd taken all the money from the house and disappeared with another man. The room spun. Chukwuemeka gripped the windowsill to steady himself. Akinna believed you. He wanted to believe me. It gave him someone to blame for all his failures. And Adanna's voice broke. I finally had what I'd always wanted. A son. I told you your mother had left because she didn't love you. I raised you as mine. When Akinna drank himself to death 3 years later, it was just you and me. And Obiageli? Chukwuemeka could barely say the name. What happened to her? She went to the village. Mama Chioma answered when Adanna fell silent. She waited for you. 1 month, 2 months, 6 months. She sent letters that Adanna burned. She tried to call, but Adanna changed the numbers. Finally, Obiageli came back to Lagos to find you. And Chukwuemeka turned to face them both. Mama Chioma stood up, her tattered wrapper falling around her like judgment. Adanna told her you were dead, that you died of fever shortly after she left, that it was her fault for abandoning her son. The sound that came from Chukwuemeka's throat was inhuman. He lunged at Adanna's bed, his hands reaching for her throat before Mama Chioma grabbed him. No, Oga, not like this. This is not the way. She told my mother I was dead. He was shouting now, years of pain erupting. She made her think she killed her own son. I'm sorry, Adanna sobbed. I'm so sorry. I was sick with jealousy. I wanted what she had. I wanted you. I wanted to be the only mother you knew. What happened to Obiageli after that? Chukwuemeka's voice was deadly calm now, which was somehow worse than the shouting. Mama Chioma guided him back to his chair. She broke, Oga. Completely broke. She blamed herself for your death. Started drinking, living on the streets. Over the years, her mind. She tapped her head. The grief destroyed her. Is she? Chukwuemeka couldn't finish the question. She's alive, Mama Chioma said. I've been watching over her all these years. That's why I became homeless too. I couldn't live with the secret, couldn't stay in that compound. I thought if I stayed close to Obiageli, maybe I could protect her somehow. Maybe I could find the courage to tell the truth. Where is she? Chukwuemeka stood. Where is my mother? Mama Chioma and Adanna exchange a look. That's the worst part, Adanna whispered. The part that will destroy you. Tell me, she's been on Victoria Island for the past year. Mama Chioma said softly. Living under the Falomo Bridge. You pass her every single day on your way to work. The room tilted again. Chukwuemeka remembered a woman, thin and weathered, always sitting in the same spot. He'd seen her so many times he'd stopped seeing her. Just another homeless person in Lagos, invisible in plain sight. You mean, he couldn't breathe. The woman who begs near the junction? The one who talks to herself. That's Obiageli, Mama Chioma confirmed. Your mother. And 3 days ago, when you drove past her, you rolled down your window and told your driver to call the city cleaners to remove the beggars. You said they made the area look bad. The memory crashed over him. He'd said exactly that. Had complained about the homeless population affecting his property values. I have to see her. Chukwuemeka moved toward the door. Wait, Adanna called out. There's more. Something you need to know before you go to her. He turned, his hand on the door handle. Adanna's face was ashen. When I told Obiageli you were dead, she was pregnant again. 2 months pregnant. She lost the baby from the grief. But before she lost it, she'd already chosen a name. What does that matter now? The name she chose, Adanna said, her voice breaking. She was going to call him Chukwuemeka. After you. She was going to name her second son after the first son she thought she'd killed. The underpass smelled of urine, rotting food, and broken dreams. Chukwuemeka's expensive shoes crunched on broken bottles and scattered refuse as he followed Mama Chioma deeper into the shadows beneath Falomo Bridge. His security team flanked him, hands on their tasers, but he barely noticed them. Everything he'd built, the towers, the companies, the empire, suddenly felt meaningless. His mother had been sleeping on concrete while he slept on Egyptian cotton sheets 20 stories above the city. That's her, Mama Chioma said, pointing to a makeshift shelter constructed from cardboard boxes and tattered plastic sheeting. A woman sat there, rail-thin, her hair a wild gray tangle. She wore layers of torn clothing despite the Lagos heat, and she was talking to herself, her hands gesturing at invisible companions. Her feet were bare and calloused, her face weathered beyond her years. Chukwuemeka felt his heart shatter. This couldn't be her. The woman in his childhood memories had been vibrant, beautiful, full of life. This woman looked like she'd been dead for years and forgotten to lie down. Mama, his voice came out as a whisper. The woman didn't respond. She continued her one-sided conversation, occasionally laughing at something only she could hear. She's been like this for years, Mama Chioma said softly. Some days are better than others. Today is not a good day. Chukwuemeka approached slowly, the way one might approach a wounded animal. Mama? Obiageli? At her name, the woman's head snapped up. Her eyes, clouded and unfocused, swept past him as if he weren't there. Chukwuemeka, she said suddenly, and his breath caught. But then she continued, Chukwuemeka is dead. Dead because I left. Bad mother. Bad mother. The river took him. The fever took him. I killed my baby. She began rocking back and forth, hugging herself. Sorry. Mama is sorry. Tears streamed down Chukwuemeka's face. He knelt in the filth, not caring about his suit, and reached for her hand. Mama, I'm here. I'm alive. Look at me. But Obiageli pulled away, her eyes wild with fear. No, you're not real. The demons show me his face sometimes, to punish me. But he's dead. My baby is dead. She doesn't recognize you, Mama Chioma said. The grief destroyed her mind. She sees you every day when you pass, but she thinks you're a ghost. A punishment for her sins. Chukwuemeka turned to his security team. Get a doctor. The best psychiatrist in Lagos. I don't care what it costs. Get them here now. One of the guards nodded and pulled out his phone, stepping away to make calls. Mama, Chukwuemeka tried again, gently taking her hand. She flinched, but didn't pull away this time. It's me. I'm real. Touch me. Feel that I'm alive. Obiageli's fingers trembled as they brushed his face. Her eyes filled with tears. For a moment, just a heartbeat. Recognition flickered in them. Chukwuemeka, she whispered. My son. Yes, Mama. It's me. Then her expression changed, darkening with sudden rage. She slapped his hand away. Liar. Demon. My son is dead. Dead. You're here to torture me. She began screaming, drawing the attention of other homeless people in the underpass. Get away. Get away. Mama Chioma helped Chukwuemeka back as Obiageli retreated deeper in her cardboard shelter, still screaming about demons and dead babies. Give her time, Mama Chioma said. This is what I feared. The shock is too much for her. Her mind has lived with your death for so long. It can't accept that you're alive. Chukwuemeka watched his mother, his broken, traumatized mother, curl into a ball, whimpering. Around them, other homeless people watched with dull eyes, too accustomed to mental breakdowns to react. How many times has she slept hungry? He asked, his voice hollow. How many times has someone hurt her? Robbed her? How many nights has she spent cold and afraid while I was in my penthouse? Oga, you didn't know. I should have known, he exploded. I should have looked for her. I believed Adanna's lies because it was easier than facing the truth. Because it was easier than wondering why my own mother would leave me. His phone buzzed. He wanted to ignore it, but the caller ID showed his executive assistant. He answered, Sir, I'm sorry to disturb you, but there's a situation at the office. Adanna, Obi has been calling all the board members. She's telling them you're having a mental breakdown. She's trying to organize an emergency meeting to remove you as CEO. The words barely registered. Let her try. Sir, there's more. She's claiming power of attorney over your affairs. She has documents saying you made her your legal guardian if you ever became mentally incapacitated. The board is taking her seriously. Now Chukwuemeka's attention sharpened. What documents? She says you signed them 6 months ago, during that business trip to Abuja. 6 months ago, when Adanna, when the woman he'd known as Adaeze, had first entered his life. When she'd been so helpful, so caring, so perfect. When she'd suggested he needed someone he could trust to handle things if anything ever happened to him. He'd been so charmed, so grateful for her attention, that he'd signed whatever she put in front of him. That snake, he breathed. She's been planning this from the beginning. Mama Chioma's eyes widened. Oga, what is it? Adanna didn't come back into my life by accident, Chukwuemeka said, his mind racing. She's been planning this. First, she destroys my mother. Then, 25 years later, she comes for me. She must have been watching, waiting for the right moment to strike. But why? Mama Chioma asked. You already built your empire without her help. Revenge, he realized. For taking her husband. For being born. For being the son she could never have. He looked at his security chief. We need to get back to the hospital. Now, before she disappears with those documents. What about your mother? Mama Chioma gestured to Obiageli, who had quieted but still rocked in her shelter, muttering to herself. Chukwuemeka looked between the two women, the one who destroyed his family and the one who'd saved what little remained. He called his assistant back. Listen carefully. I want you to hire 3 private security guards. The best we have. They're to stay at Falomo Bridge 24 hours a day, protecting a homeless woman there. No one touches her. No one moves her. And get our company doctor there immediately. Tell him to bring sedatives and a mobile medical unit. I want her stabilized before we move her. He turned to Mama Chioma. You'll stay with her? Always, Oga. I've been watching over her for 25 years. I won't stop now. Good. I'm setting up an account in your name. Whatever she needs, you have unlimited access. As Chukwuemeka prepared to leave, Obiageli's voice drifted from the shelter, singing softly. It was a lullaby, one he suddenly remembered from childhood. The same one she used to sing when putting him to bed. Sleep, my baby, sleep. The moon is watching over you. Sleep, my baby, sleep. Mama will never leave you. But she had left. Or rather, she'd been torn away. And now, even reunited, the damage might be too deep to heal. As they climbed into the waiting SUV, Chukwuemeka's phone buzzed again. This time, it was a text from an unknown number. You should have let me slap her. Now the truth is out, and I can't let that stand. By the time you read this, the documents are already filed. You'll lose everything you've built, just like Obiageli lost everything. Some sins require generational payment. Chukwuemeka showed the message to Mama Chioma. Her face went pale. Oga, there's something else I need to tell you. Something about Adanna's son. What son? She said she couldn't have children. She lied about that too, Mama Chioma said. After Obiageli left, after she told the village you were dead, Adanna got pregnant. Whether by Oga Ikena before he died or someone else, I don't know. But she had a son. She gave him up for adoption immediately, told everyone she miscarried. Chukwuemeka's blood ran cold. Where's this son now? That's what I've been trying to find out. I only learned about him 3 months ago from an old friend in Surulere. Adanna has been looking for him, trying to find him for the past year. Why? Because, Mama Chioma said grimly, if she can prove she has a biological son from Oga Ikena, she can challenge her inheritance. Claim that everything your father left should have gone to her son, not to Obiageli's son. Especially if she can prove Obiageli abandoned you and she raised you. The SUV hit a pothole, jolting them. Outside, Lagos rushed past, a city of millions, each with their own secrets, their own sins, their own survival strategies. She's not after my money, Chukwuemeka realized. She's after everything. My company, my reputation, my identity. She wants to erase me the same way she erased my mother. What will you do, Oga? Before he could answer, another text arrived. This one included a photo. It showed a young man, maybe mid-20s, standing in front of Chukwuemeka's corporate headquarters. He had Adanna's eyes and Ikena's jawline. The caption read, Meet Chitty, your brother, the legitimate heir. See you in court. What do you think will happen next? Can Chukwuemeka save his empire and his mother? Comment below your predictions. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell. This story is far from over. The hospital room was empty. Chukwuemeka burst through the door, his security team fanning out behind him, but the bed where Adanna had been lying was stripped clean. No foredrip, no personal belongings. Even the flowers he'd ordered were gone. She checked herself out 20 minutes ago, a nurse explained nervously. She said you'd approved it. She had a man with her, her son, she said. He signed the discharge papers. Show me the papers, Chukwuemeka demanded. The nurse scurried off and returned with a clipboard. There, in neat handwriting, was a signature, Chidi Okafor. Not Obi. Okafor. The name change was deliberate, calculated. A claim. Give me my legal team, Chukwuemeka told his assistant. Everyone. I don't care if it's midnight. I want them in my office in 1 hour. As they rushed back to his tower on Victoria Island, Mama Chioma sat beside him in the SUV, her weathered hands folded in her lap. The security team had wanted to take her back to the bridge, but Chukwuemeka insisted she stay. She was the only witness to the truth, the only person who could corroborate his story. Tell me about Chidi, he said. Everything you know. I don't know much, Oga. Only what I heard from the old neighbors. After Oga Adanna died in 2003, Adanna got pregnant. She hid it well, wore loose clothes, stayed inside. When the baby came, she took him to a children's home in Ikeja. Told them she couldn't care for him. But she's found him now. More than that, Mama Chioma said darkly. For what I understand, she's been grooming him. Telling him stories about how his father was a successful businessman, how his mother was forced to give him up, how his inheritance was stolen by a woman who abandoned her family. So he believes I'm the villain. He believes you're not even real, Oga, that you're some imposter Obiageli brought in to steal what belongs to him. The city lights blurred past. Lagos at night was a different beast. Neon signs, advertising, everything from churches to nightclubs, generators roaring on every street, the eternal hustle never sleeping. Chukwuemeka had built his empire in this city, fought for every naira, climbed from the poverty of Surulere to the penthouses of Victoria Island. And now someone wanted to take it all away. His phone rang. His head of legal, Bimp Adeyemi, her voice crisp despite the late hour. Sir, we have a problem. Adanna Obi has filed a lawsuit claiming fraudulent inheritance. She's saying that when Chukwuemeka Okafor died, he left everything to his wife, her, and that you were illegally adopted without proper documentation. She's demanding a full audit of your assets. Can she do that? Unfortunately, yes. Adoption laws in Nigeria in 2003 were complicated. If she can prove the adoption wasn't legally finalized, she can challenge her right to inherit Chukwuemeka's estate. But I built this company myself. My father left nothing but debts. That's our argument. Bimp agreed. But she's clever. She's not claiming your current assets. She's claiming that the seed money you used to start your first business came from selling property that belonged to Chukwuemeka. Property that should have gone to her as the surviving wife. Chukwuemeka's mind raced back 22 years. After his father died, Adanna had sold their compound in Surulere. She'd told him it was to pay off debts, but she'd given him a small portion, 50,000 naira, which he'd used to start a small electronics repair shop. From that shop, he'd built everything else. She's claiming that money was stolen from her? Yes. And she's claiming that all subsequent assets should be frozen until paternity and inheritance can be properly established. What about Chidi? Does he have a legal claim? Bimp hesitated. If we can prove he's Chukwuemeka's biological son and that you were never legally adopted, then yes. He could have a stronger claim to Chukwuemeka's original estate than you do. The SUV pulled up to the Crystal Towers. Even at this hour, the building gleamed with light, a beacon of success in the Lagos night. Chukwuemeka had built this. He designed every floor, approved every detail, and now it might be ripped away. His legal team was already assembling in the conference room on the 40th floor. Mama Chioma looked overwhelmed by the opulence. Marble floors, glass walls, the city spread out below like a carpet of lights. Sit here, Chukwuemeka told her, guiding her to a chair. You're going to tell them everything. Everything you saw. Everything you know. For the next 3 hours, Mama Chioma recounted the story. The legal team recorded her testimony, asked questions, took notes. Some looked skeptical, A homeless woman's word against documents and DNA tests. But Bimp's sharp mind was already finding angles. We need to locate Obiageli's medical records, Bimp said. If we can prove she gave birth to you and match that with your DNA, we establish biological connection. The adoption question becomes secondary. But her mental state, one of the junior lawyers interjected. If she's been declared mentally unfit, her testimony won't hold up in court. Then we get her fit, Chukwuemeka said. Whatever it takes. The best psychiatrists, the best care. I want my mother coherent enough to tell her story. That could take months, years even, Bimp warned. And Adanna isn't waiting. She's filed for an emergency injunction. There's a hearing tomorrow at 9 a.m. She's asking the court to freeze all your assets pending investigation. Tomorrow, Chukwuemeka's voice rose. That's impossible. We can't prepare a defense in. She's been preparing for months, sir. Maybe years. She has documentation, witnesses, medical records claiming you're mentally unstable. She's even got affidavits from former business partners saying you've been acting erratically. Chukwuemeka's hands clenched into fists. She's been planning this since the day we met. Every dinner, every conversation, every document I signed, it was all building to this. A knock at the conference room door. One of the night security guards entered, looking uncomfortable. Sir, there's a situation downstairs, in the lobby. You need to see this. They took the elevator down. Through the glass walls, Chukwuemeka could see a crowd gathering outside the building. News vans, camera crews. And in the center of it all, Adanna, dressed impeccably in traditional Ankara, her face a mask of grief and righteousness. She's holding a press conference, Bimp said. Right now, at midnight, they pushed through the doors. Adanna's voice, amplified by microphones, echoed across the plaza. Been silent for too long. I raised Chukwuemeka Okafor as my own son after his mother abandoned him. I gave him everything. And now that he's successful, he wants to erase me. He wants to pretend I don't exist. But I have proof that everything he owns was built on lies and stolen inheritance. Reporters shouted questions. Cameras flashed. This wasn't just a legal battle anymore. This was a public disgrace, broadcast across Lagos, across Nigeria, across the continent. Beside Adanna stood Chidi. Up close, the resemblance to Ikenna was undeniable. He had the same tall frame, the same proud bearing. But his eyes, Adanna's eyes, held cold calculation. I am Chidi Okafor, he said into the microphones. The biological son of Ikenna Okafor. I was given up for adoption, told my parents were dead, while this man, he pointed at Chukwuemeka, lived in luxury built on my father's legacy. I'm here to reclaim what's rightfully mine. The crowd murmured. Chukwuemeka could see it in their faces. Sympathy for Chidi, suspicion toward him. The narrative was already being written. Rich billionaire versus abandoned son. David versus Goliath. That's a lot. Mama Chioma's voice rang out. She pushed through the security guards, her tattered clothes stark against the polished plaza. I was there. I saw everything. This woman is a liar. The cameras swung toward her. Adanna's face flickered with something. Fear? Anger, before settling back into grief. This poor woman, Adanna said with practiced sympathy. She's been living on the streets for so long. Her mind is confused. Chukwuemeka has even paid her to tell lies. I'm not confused, Mama Chioma shouted. And I'm not paid. I know what you did to Obiageli. I know how you stole her son and drove her mad. Obiageli? A reporter seized on the name. Who is Obiageli? The question hung in the air. Chukwuemeka stepped forward, and the crowd quieted. In his custom suit, with his towers behind him, he looked every inch the billionaire. But his voice, when he spoke, was raw with emotion. Obiageli Obi is my mother, he said clearly. The woman who gave birth to me. This woman, he pointed at Adanna, drove into madness and poverty. She's alive. She's been living under Falomo Bridge for years, while Adanna here enjoyed the life that should have been hers. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Cameras swung between Chukwuemeka and Adanna like spectators at a tennis match. "That's absurd," Adanna protested, but her voice had lost its confidence. "Obiageli abandoned her family. She left her son. I raised him. You told her I was dead." Chukwuemeka roared. "You told my mother I died. You destroyed her mind with grief while you played mother to her son." "Prove it." Chidi stepped forward, his voice cold. "Prove any of this. Where's this Obiageli? Let's see her. Let her testify." "She can't," Mama Chioma said, tears streaming down her face. "Because the trauma broke her mind. She doesn't even recognize her own son anymore. That's what your mother did to her." "My mother saved a child from abandonment," Chidi shot back. "And now that child has become a man who wants to erase his true family. Well, I won't let it happen. Tomorrow in court, the truth will come out. And when it does, everyone will know Chukwuemeka Okafor for what he really is, a fraud." The crowd erupted in shouts and questions. Security moved in to disperse them. But Chukwuemeka stood frozen, watching Adanna and Chidi disappear into a waiting car. Bimp appeared at his elbow. "Sir, we need to get you inside. This is already going viral on social media. We need to prepare a statement, a strategy." "No," Chukwuemeka said. "We're going back to the bridge. To my mother. If Chidi wants proof, I'll give him proof." "Sir, that's not advisable. If she's as traumatized as they say, putting her in front of cameras could what? Make things worse." Chukwuemeka laughed bitterly. "Things can't get worse. My mother is homeless and broken. My aunt has turned my half-brother against me. Tomorrow I might lose everything I've built. The only thing I have left is the truth, and I'll be damned if I let Adanna's lies bury it." They drove back to Falomo Bridge, this time with a medical team, and a psychiatrist Bimp had called in. Dr. Amaka Nwosu, one of Lagos's top trauma specialists, looked skeptical but willing to help. Obiageli was exactly where they'd left her, though the security guards Chukwuemeka had hired stood watch now, keeping other homeless people at a respectful distance. She was calmer now, sitting in her cardboard shelter, humming that same lullaby. Dr. Nwosu approached slowly, introducing herself in a soft voice. Obiageli looked up, her eyes distant but less wild than before. "I'm here to help you," Dr. Nwosu said. "Would you like to talk with me?" "Talk about what?" Obiageli's voice was small, childlike. "About my dead baby? About how I killed him?" "Your baby isn't dead," Dr. Nwosu said gently. "He's right here. Would you like to see him?" Obiageli's eyes darted around, panicked. "No, no tricks. The demons show me his face. But he's not real. He's dead. Dead because I left him." Chukwuemeka stepped forward, and Dr. Nwosu held up a hand, warning him to go slow. "Mama," he said softly, "I brought something for you. Do you remember this?" He pulled out his phone, scrolling to a photo he'd scanned years ago. The same photo that had fallen from Adanna's purse, mother and baby happy and whole. Obiageli stared at the image. Her hands trembled as she reached for the phone. "That's me," she whispered. "That's my Chukwuemeka, my baby boy. But he's dead now, dead and gone." "I'm not dead, Mama. I'm here. I'm alive." Chukwuemeka knelt in the dirt, his expensive suit forgotten. "You didn't kill me. Adanna lied to you. She took me from you. But I'm alive. I'm here." Obiageli's face crumpled. "No, no, you're lying. Everyone lies." Adanna said he died of fever. She showed me a death certificate. She showed me a grave. The words hit like bullets. Chukwuemeka turned to Mama Chioma, his face a mask of horror. "She showed her a grave?" Mama Chioma nodded, fresh tears streaming. "In Surulere Cemetery. A small marker with your name and dates. I saw it once, years ago, when I went looking for Obiageli. That's how thorough Adanna was. She created a complete lie. The grave is fake." Chukwuemeka told his mother desperately. "Everything Adanna told you is fake. I'm real. Touch me. Feel me. I'm alive." But Obiageli had retreated into herself again, rocking and humming. The photo clutched her chest. Dr. Nwosu pulled Chukwuemeka aside. This is severe traumatic dissociation. Her mind created a reality where she's responsible for your death. It's a form of punishment she inflicted on herself. Breaking through that will take time, medication, intensive therapy. Possibly months before she can reliably distinguish reality from the delusion Adanna created. We don't have months, Bimp interjected. We have hours. The hearing is at 9 a.m. Then we'll bring the mountain to Muhammad, Chukwuemeka said grimly. If my mother can't testify, I'll find other proof. Mama Chioma, you said Adanna showed her a death certificate. Where'd she get a fake certificate? I don't know, Oga. But if she made one, there might be records. Someone she paid to create it. And the grave, Chukwuemeka continued, his mind racing. A grave marker costs money. Someone made it. Someone installed it. There will be records. Bimp was already on her phone, calling investigators. I'll have a team at Surulere Cemetery within the hour. If there's a marker with your name, we'll document it. That proves premeditation, proves Adanna created an elaborate lie. What about medical records? Dr. Nwosu suggested. If Obiageli gave birth to you at a hospital, there will be records. Birth certificates don't lie. My birth certificate lists Adanna as my mother, Chukwuemeka said bitterly. She had it changed somehow after my father died. Claimed there was an error in the original. Then we get the original hospital records, Bimp said. Hospitals keep everything. Admission records, patient files, birth logs. If we can prove Obiageli was admitted and gave birth on your birth date, that's evidence. While the team scattered to gather proof, Chukwuemeka stayed with his mother. He sat in the dirt beside her cardboard shelter, not caring about his suit, not caring about the stares for passers-by. Mama Chioma sat on his other side, and together they kept vigil through the night. Tell me about her, Chukwuemeka said softly. Tell me about my mother before all this happened. Mama Chioma's face softened with memory. She was beautiful, Oga. Not just her face, but her spirit. She loved to sing, always singing in the kitchen while cooking. She would dance with you, spin you around until you both fell down laughing. And smart. She had been studying accounting at university before your father married her. She wanted to start a business, help other women learn to manage money. What happened to her dreams? Your father happened. His drinking, his rage. She tried to hold on to herself, but he broke her piece by piece. Still, she never stopped loving you. Every day, she would tell you stories about great Igbo warriors, about how you would grow up to be strong and successful. She had such hopes for you. And I walked past her every day, Chukwuemeka said, his voice breaking. Every single day for a year, I drove past her, and I didn't even see her. I complained about the beggars ruining my view. You didn't know, Oga. I should have known. I should have looked harder. I should never have believed Adanna's lies. Obiageli stirred at his raised voice, whimpering. Immediately, he lowered his tone, reaching out to gently touch her hand. She didn't pull away this time. Sorry, Mama, he whispered. I'm sorry for everything. She looked at him then, really looked at him. For a moment, just a heartbeat. Something flickered in her eyes. Recognition? Hope. But then it was gone, replaced by the fog of trauma. You have his eyes, she said softly. My Chukwuemeka had eyes like that, brown with little gold flecks, like honey in the sun. Because I am your Chukwuemeka, Mama. She shook her head sadly. My Chukwuemeka is dead. But you're a kind demon, not like the others. You stay with me. That's nice. It wasn't much, but it was something. As dawn broke over Lagos, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink, Bimp returned with her team. Their faces told the story before they spoke. We found the grave, one of the investigators said, showing photos on tablet. Small marker, purchased in 2000 from a monument company in Ikeja. Paid for in cash, but the company kept records. The order form has Adanna's signature. And the hospital records? Chukwuemeka asked. Better, Bimp said, a grim smile on her face. We found the admissions log from Surulere General Hospital, November 15th, 1992. Obiageli Obi, admitted in labor, delivered a healthy baby boy at 3:47 a.m. on November 16th. Baby named Chukwuemeka Okafor Obi. Mother and baby discharged 3 days later. That's my birth date, Chukwuemeka breathed. And there's more. The doctor who delivered you, Dr. Adaeze Adaeze, is still alive. Retired now, but he remembers the case. He's willing to testify that Obiageli was definitely the mother. He even remembers because it was unusual, 2 wives of the same man in the maternity ward at the same time. Adanna had come in claiming pregnancy complications the same day Obiageli went into labor. Dr. Adaeze found nothing wrong with Adanna. He suspected she was faking to get attention. Hope surged in Chukwuemeka's chest. Will this be enough for the hearing? It's a start, Bimp said. But we need to address the adoption question. Adanna's claim that she legally adopted you after Obiageli abandoned you. If she has paperwork, she won't have legitimate paperwork, Mama Chioma interrupted, because she never legally adopted him. She just took him and told everyone she was his mother. In those days, in Surulere, nobody asked questions. A woman raises a child, people assume it's hers. That actually helps us, Bimp said. If there's no legal adoption, then Obiageli never legally lost parental rights. And if she never legally lost them, her rights still exist, even if she's currently unable to exercise them. Chukwuemeka looked at his mother, who had fallen into a restless sleep against his shoulder. Her breathing was ragged, her face lined with years of suffering. What about Chidi? He asked. If he really is Adanna's son, what claim does he have? Bimp's expression darkened. That's our biggest problem. We ran a preliminary background check. Chidi Okafor was born in 2003, 6 months after Adanna died. His birth certificate lists the father as unknown. But if Adanna can prove Adanna was the father through DNA from relatives or other means, then Chidi has a legitimate claim to Adanna's estate. But not to my company. Not to what I built. No, but she's arguing that your seed capital came from selling Adanna's property. If that's true, then everything that grew from that seed could be considered tainted by illegitimate inheritance. It's brilliant, really, one of the junior lawyers said. Evil, but brilliant. She can't touch what you earned yourself, but if she can prove the foundation was stolen, she can argue for a percentage. And with Chidi as the legitimate heir. Chidi might not be Adanna's son, Mama Chioma said suddenly. Everyone turned to stare at her. What? Chukwuemeka asked. I told you I didn't know if the baby was Adanna's, Mama Chioma said. But I have suspicions. There was a man, you see, a driver who worked for Adanna. His name was Samuel. They were close. Very close. After Adanna died, Adanna fired Samuel immediately, gave him money, and told him to leave Lagos. I always wondered if it was because he knew something. If Chidi isn't Adanna's biological son, Adanna's entire case falls apart. Bimp said, excitement creeping into her voice. Can you find this Samuel? I can try. He went back to his village in Delta State. But that was 22 years ago. He might be dead. Might be anywhere. Find him, Chukwuemeka ordered. Whatever it takes. If Chidi isn't my father's son, I want proof. His phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. But he knew who it was before he opened it. Ready for court, little nephew? I've arranged for live television coverage. All of Lagos will watch you lose everything. Just like my mother watched me lose mine. Some justice is generational. See you at 9. Chidi. Chukwuemeka showed the message to Bimp. Her face was grim. He's calling you nephew. He really believes you're Obiageli's son, and he's Adanna's son, which would make Adanna your aunt. He's embraced the narrative completely. Or he knows the truth and doesn't care. Chukwuemeka said. Either way, he wants to destroy me on television. Turn this into a spectacle. Then we give him a spectacle, Bimp said. But not the one he's expecting. Can you get your mother cleaned up, presentable? I know it's a lot to ask. No, Dr. Nwosu interrupted firmly. Absolutely not. This woman is severely traumatized. Putting her in a courtroom, on television, could cause a complete psychotic break. I won't allow it. Then what do we do? Chukwuemeka asked helplessly. How do I prove who I am without her? Mama Chioma stood up, brushing dirt from her tattered wrapper. You don't need her to speak, Oga. You need her to exist, to be seen. Let Lagos see what Adanna did. Let them see the homeless woman under the bridge and connect her to the story. Sometimes the truth speaks louder than words. Bimp nodded slowly. She's right. We don't put Obiageli on the stand. We make Adanna explain her. We make Chidi look at what his mother did and defend it. Will it work? Chukwuemeka asked. I don't know, Bimp admitted, but it's all we have. As they prepared to leave for court, Obiageli woke. She looked around, confused, then her eyes landed on Chukwuemeka. You're still here, she said, surprised. The kind demon stayed all night. I'm not a demon, Mama. I'm your son. She smiled then, sad and broken, but a smile nonetheless. I wish that were true. I wish my son had grown up to be a man like you. Strong and good. But he's gone. He's been gone for so long. Chukwuemeka fought back tears. I'm going to make this right, Mama. I'm going to make Adanna pay for what she did to you. To us. Obiageli's expression changed, darkening. Adanna, she whispered. Adanna, kill my baby. Adanna showed me the grave. Adanna, Adanna, Adanna. She began rocking again, the name a curse on her lips. Dr. Nwosu administered a mild sedative to calm her. This is as good as it's going to get today, she told Chukwuemeka. Whatever you're planning, do it soon, before she retreats completely. They left Obiageli in the care of nurses and security, promising to return. As Chukwuemeka's motorcade pulled away from Falomo Bridge, heading toward the High Court in Lagos Island, he looked back one last time. His mother sat in the dirt where he'd left her, still clutching that faded photograph, still humming her lullaby. The sun rose behind her, casting her shadow long across the concrete. And Chukwuemeka made a vow. No matter what happened in that courtroom, no matter what it cost him, Adanna would answer for every year his mother had spent in that shadow. The game was about to begin, and this time, the whole world would be watching. Is your heart racing? Hit that like button if you're Team Chukwuemeka. What do you think will happen in court? Will justice prevail? Comment your predictions below, and don't forget to subscribe for the explosive next chapter. The Lagos High Court was a trap Chukwuemeka wouldn't walk into. Turn the car around, he told his driver as they approached the crowded building. Media vans lined the streets, cameras ready to capture his humiliation. Sir, Bimp looked confused. The hearing is in 15 minutes. If you don't show, then Adanna wins by default, Chukwuemeka finished. I know, but I'm not playing her game anymore. Drive to the Channel 7 studios. Now, his phone buzzed constantly. Board members, business partners, friends, all asking what was happening, all wondering if the rumors were true. He ignored them all except one number, his head of PR. Chidera, I need you to arrange something. Can Channel 7 give me live airtime in the next 30 minutes? Sir, they're already covering the hearing. I don't care what they're covering. Tell them I'll give them the exclusive story of the year. Tell them I'll reveal everything about my mother, about Adanna, about the whole truth. But it has to be live, unedited, and it has to be now. He could hear Chidera's fingers flying over a keyboard. They're saying yes. They'll bump their morning show. You'll go live at 9:15. Perfect. And Chidera? Get every media house in Lagos to pick up the feed. I want every television in Nigeria tuned in. Bim grabbed his arm. Sir, this is reckless. Without legal protections, anything you say can be used against you. Adanna will twist your words. Let her try. She's built her case on secrets and lies. So I'm going to strip away every secret. By the time I'm done, all of Lagos will know exactly what she did. They arrived at the Channel 7 studios in Victoria Island. The security team cleared a path through the gathering reporters. Inside, the studio manager met them, eyes wide with excitement and concern. "Mr. Okafor, are you sure about this? We've been getting calls from Adanna Obi's representatives threatening lawsuits if we give you airtime." "Let her sue," Chukwuemeka said. "Just get me on camera." While makeup artists worked to make him presentable, Chukwuemeka called his security team back at Folomo Bridge. "I need you to bring my mother here. Now. And Mama Chioma too. Sir, Dr. Nwosu says moving her could be dangerous." "I know, but this is our only chance. Bring the medical team. Keep her comfortable, but get her here in 20 minutes. Bimp was frantically making calls, trying to manage the chaos. "Sir, the board is threatening to remove you as CEO. They're saying this media stunt proves you're unstable." "Then let them remove me," Chukwuemeka said calmly. "After today, I'll either have my company and my reputation intact, or I'll have nothing. But at least the truth will be out there." The studio lights were blinding. Across from him sat Adaeze, Channel 7's top news anchor, her expression professional but hungry for the story. "We're live in 3, 2. Good morning, Nigeria," Adaeze began. "We're here with billionaire entrepreneur Chukwuemeka Okafor, who has requested this emergency broadcast. Mr. Okafor, there are explosive allegations being made against you this morning. What do you want to tell the Nigerian people?" Chukwuemeka looked directly into the camera. Somewhere in Lagos, in boardrooms and living rooms and market stalls with small televisions, people were watching, including Adanna, including Chidi. "My name is Chukwuemeka Okafor," he began. "And for 25 years, I've been living a lie. Not a lie I created, but a lie that was created for me. A lie so elaborate, so cruel, that it destroyed an innocent woman's life and poisoned everything I've built." He took a breath. Behind the cameras, he could see his team watching anxiously. "Yesterday, a homeless woman stopped me from slapping someone in public. That homeless woman's name is Mama Chioma, and she used to be my family's housemaid. The woman I was about to slap is named Adanna Obi. She's been posing as my girlfriend for 6 months under a false name. But her real identity is much more complicated. She's my father's first wife. And she's the woman who destroyed my mother." Adaeze leaned forward. "Your mother? But we've been told your mother abandoned you as a child." "That's what I was told too. That's what everyone was told. But it's a lie." Chukwuemeka pulled out the faded photograph, holding it up to the camera. "This is my mother, Obiageli Obi. This photo was taken at my christening. She's holding me, loving me. Does this look like a woman who would abandon her child?" The camera zoomed in on the photograph. "After my father married Obiageli as his second wife, he became violent. An alcoholic. He abused both his wives, but especially my mother. In January 2000, when I was 7 years old, he attacked her so severely that Adanna convinced her to flee for her life. Adanna promised to bring me to her later, to reunite us when it was safe." His voice cracked, but he pushed on. "Instead, Adanna told my father that my mother had run away with another man. She told the community my mother had abandoned me. And worst of all, she told my mother that I had died. She showed her a fake death certificate. She created a grave with my name on it in Surulere Cemetery." Gasps from the studio crew. Adaeze's professional composure slipped for a moment. That's an incredible allegation, Mr. Okafor. Do you have proof?" "I have the grave marker. I have the hospital records showing my mother gave birth to me. I have a monument company's records showing Adanna purchased that fake grave marker. But more than that," he paused as movement at the studio entrance caught his eye. His security team was arriving with Obiageli and Mama Chioma. "More than that, I have my mother herself. The woman Adanna claimed abandoned me has been living under Folomo Bridge for the past year. She's been homeless, mentally broken by the grief of thinking she killed her own son. And I drove past her every single day without recognizing her." The studio doors opened. Obiageli, wrapped in a clean blanket provided by the medical team, shuffled in with Mama Chioma supporting her. Even cleaned up slightly, she looked like exactly what she was, a homeless woman who'd lived through hell. The camera operators swung their lenses toward her. The feed was being broadcast across Nigeria now, picked up by every major network. Millions of eyes on the broken woman who'd once been beautiful and full of dreams. "Mama," Chukwuemeka said softly, standing to approach her. "These people want to hear your story. Can you tell them what happened?" Obiageli looked around, confused and frightened by the lights and cameras. "Where am I? Why are there so many people?" "They want to know about your son. About Chukwuemeka." Her face crumpled immediately. "My baby is dead. Dead because I left him. Bad mother. Bad mother." The raw pain in her voice silenced the entire studio. Even the hardened camera operators looked shaken. "Who told you your baby was dead?" Adaeze asked gently, moving closer with her microphone. "Adanna. She showed me the paper. She showed me the grave. She said he got fever after I left. She said it was my fault. My fault, my fault." Obiageli began rocking, and Dr. Nwosu immediately moved to her side. "I think that's enough," Dr. Nwosu said firmly. "This woman needs—" "No," Obiageli said suddenly, her voice gaining unexpected strength. She looked directly at the camera, and for a moment, the fog in her eyes cleared. "No, people need to know. Adanna killed my soul. She took my baby and told me he was dead. For 25 years, I've lived with that guilt. 25 years of wishing I'd died instead." She pointed at Chukwuemeka. "This man says he's my son. The demons show me his face sometimes to punish me. But I want to believe. God help me. I want to believe my baby is alive." Chukwuemeka crossed to her, tears streaming down his face. "I am alive, Mama. Because of you. You gave me life. You loved me. And Adanna stole that from both of us." He turned back to the camera. "So yes, Adanna Obi is making claims against me. She's tried to take my company, my reputation, everything. She's brought forward a young man named Chidi, claiming he's my father's legitimate son. And maybe he is. Maybe he deserves something from my father's estate. But what Adanna doesn't deserve is to walk away from this without answering for what she did." His phone was exploding with notifications. Social media was on fire. Hashtag Justice for Obiageli was already trending. "I'm not asking for sympathy," Chukwuemeka continued. "I built my empire with my own hands. But I'm asking Nigeria, I'm asking everyone watching, to look at what secrets and lies can do. Look at what jealousy and cruelty can destroy. My mother isn't a statistic. She's not just another homeless person to ignore. She's a woman who was broken by evil, and I'm going to spend the rest of my life trying to heal her." Adaeze's earpiece was obviously going crazy because she kept touching it, listening to her producers. "Mr. Okafor, we're getting word that Adanna Obi wants to respond. She's on her way here now with Chidi. Will you stay?" "I'll stay," Chukwuemeka said. "Let her try to explain this to Nigeria." The commercial break felt like an eternity. Mama Chioma sat with Obiageli, whispering comfort. Bimp was on 3 phones simultaneously, fielding calls. The studio crew whispered among themselves, clearly moved by what they'd witnessed. Then the doors burst open. Adanna entered like a queen, Chidi beside her. She changed into full traditional attire, expensive ankara and coral beads, the picture of respectable African womanhood. But her eyes were cold fire. "You want to play this game on television?" she hissed at Chukwuemeka before they went back on air. "Fine, let's play." The cameras went live again. Adaeze looked between them like a referee at a boxing match. "Mrs. Obi, you've just witnessed Mr. Okafor's testimony. What's your response?" Adanna's face transformed into a mask of wounded dignity. "What you've just seen is a masterclass in manipulation. Yes, I am Adanna Obi. Yes, I was married to Chukwuemeka Okafor. And yes, I raised Chukwuemeka after his mother abandoned him. But the story he's telling is twisted, designed to make me look like a villain." She pointed at Obiageli. "That woman chose to leave. She chose her freedom over her son. I didn't force her to go. I tried to help her escape an abusive situation. And when she never came back, when she never even tried to contact her child, What was I supposed to do? Let the boy grow up thinking his mother didn't love him? Or give him closure by telling him she'd moved on? By telling him she was dead? Adaeze challenged. I never told him she was dead. Adanna lied smoothly. I told him she'd left and wouldn't be coming back. Perhaps over the years, in his child's mind, that became dead. Children process trauma in strange ways. Chukwuemeka started to stand, but Bimp grabbed his arm. Let her talk, she whispered. Let her dig her own grave. In this grave marker, Adaeze held up the photo of the monument with Chukwuemeka's name. Adanna didn't even blink. A memorial. When Chukwuemeka was 10, he became obsessed with death, with dying. His therapist at the time suggested creating a symbolic grave for his old self, the abandoned child, so he could move forward. It was therapy, not deception. The lie was so smooth, so practiced, that for a moment, even Chukwuemeka doubted his own memory. But then Mama Chioma stood up. You're a liar, she said, her voice ringing through the studio. I was there. I saw everything. You told Obiageli her son was dead. You showed her papers. You drove her to that bridge and left her there to die of grief. Adanna turned her cold gaze on Mama Chioma. And who are you? A homeless woman with obvious mental problems. How convenient that Chukwuemeka has dragged you out to support his story. How much is he paying you? I'm not being paid. Mama Chioma shouted. I'm speaking the truth. You destroyed this family with your jealousy. Jealous? Adanna laughed. Of what? Of Obiageli? She was a child bride, barely educated, good for nothing but bearing children. I was the first wife, the real wife. Everything Adanna had should have come to me when he died. Instead, it went to her bastard son. The word hung in the air like poison. Chidi shifted uncomfortably beside his mother. Is that what this is really about? Chukwuemeka asked quietly. Money? Inheritance? You destroyed my mother's life over property. You want to talk about destruction? Adanna's mask finally cracked. You want to talk about what was destroyed? I was married to Adanna for years before Obiageli came along. Years of trying to give him a child, of being told I was barren, of being humiliated by his family. And then suddenly this girl, this nobody from the village, shows up and gets pregnant within months. Her voice rose, years of bitterness pouring out. She didn't earn anything. She didn't suffer. She just spread her legs, and suddenly she was the favorite wife, the mother of the heir, the one everyone praised, while I was forgotten, cast aside like trash. So you took everything from her, Chukwuemeka said. Her son, her sanity, her life, because you couldn't have children of your own. I have a child, Adanna said, pulling Chidi forward. I have a son, a real son, not some. She stopped herself, but the damage was done. Chidi was staring at her, something shifting in his expression. Not somewhat, mother, he asked quietly. What were you about to say about Chukwuemeka? Nothing. I just meant. You were going to say not some bastard, weren't you? Chidi's voice was cold, just like you called his mother's son a bastard a moment ago. Is that what you really think? That legitimacy comes from who suffers more? Who is first? Chidi don't. But Chidi pulled away from her. He looked at Chukwuemeka, then at Obiageli, then back at his mother. And in that moment, something broke in his carefully constructed hatred. Tell me the truth, he said to Adanna. Right now, on live television, is Chukwuemeka Okafor really my father? The question dropped like a bomb. Adanna's face went white. Of course he is. How dare you? Because I've been doing research, Chidi continued. I hired a private investigator after you found me. I wanted to know everything about my birth father. And do you know what I found? Chukwuemeka Okafor died in August 2003. I was born in November 2003, 3 months after his death. Adaeze leaned forward, sensing blood in the water. Mrs. Obi, how do you explain that timeline? Premature, Adanna said quickly. The baby came early. I was in trauma from losing my husband. I was full term, Chidi said flatly. My medical records say full term. 3.5 kilograms. Normal delivery. So either I'm the longest gestating baby in medical history, where you lied about who my father was." The studio was dead silent. All of Nigeria watching, holding its breath. Adanna's composure cracked completely. "It doesn't matter. Biology doesn't matter. I raised you. I gave you everything. And this family owes us. They owe me for everything I suffered." "So it's true," Chidi said, stepping back from her. "Everything is a lie. Ikenna wasn't my father. You just needed an heir to challenge Chukwuemeka's inheritance. You found me in that children's home, told me this elaborate story, and weaponized me against a man who never did anything to me." He turned to Chukwuemeka. "I'm sorry. I believed her. I thought you'd stolen my birthright. But there is no birthright, is there? I'm nobody's heir. Just another bastard she used in her schemes." The same word Adanna had used so cruelly, now turned back on her own son. The irony wasn't lost on anyone. Adanna lunged at Chidi, grabbing his arm. "Don't you dare turn against me. After everything I've done, I found you. I gave you a future. You gave me a lie." Chidi yanked free, "Just like you gave everyone else lies. And I'm done being part of your revenge." He walked off the set. The cameras didn't know where to focus. On Adanna crumbling, on Chidi leaving, on Obiageli watching the whole thing with confused eyes, or on Chukwuemeka, who looked both vindicated and heartbroken. Adaeze tried to regain control of the broadcast. "Mrs. Obi, do you have anything else to say? Any final statement?" Adanna looked at the camera, and in that moment, all her masks were gone. She was just a bitter, broken woman who'd spent 25 years nursing wounds that had festered into poison. "I did what I had to do," she said. "In a world that throws away barren women like garbage, I survived. I took what should have been mine. And I'm not sorry." She stood and walked out, leaving nothing but shocked silence behind. Chukwuemeka crossed to his mother, kneeling beside her chair. Obiageli reached out with trembling fingers and touched his face. "The kind demon is crying," she whispered. "Why are you sad?" "Because," Chukwuemeka said, taking her hand, "I just realized that the demon was never you or me, Mama. It was the pain between us. And maybe, just maybe, now we can start to heal." Chapter 6, Summary, 600 words. 3 months after the explosive television broadcast, Obiageli lived in a penthouse suite at Eco Hotel, converted into a healing sanctuary. Dr. Nwosu conducted therapy sessions twice daily, guiding her through the painful process of recovery. Though Obiageli looked healthier, clean clothes, braided hair, healing skin, her eyes still carried the weight of 25 years of trauma. The progress was slow and heartbreaking. Some days she recognized Chukwuemeka clearly, calling him by name and acknowledging him as her son. Other days, she retreated into the past, reliving the moment Adanna told her he was dead, spiraling into episodes of fear and confusion. Dr. Nwosu warned that complete healing might never come. The damage was too deep, the grief too profound. Chukwuemeka devoted himself to her care, even learning to cook her favorite meals from YouTube videos. Mama Chioma, now living in a suite down the hall, provided constant support and wisdom. She reminded him that healing wasn't linear, that some days would bring sunshine and others would bring storms. Meanwhile, Chidi requested a meeting. The young man had been humbled by the truth revealed on television, that he wasn't Ikenna's biological son, but the child of a driver named Samuel, conceived during Adanna's affair. He discovered that Adanna had manipulated him from the beginning, using him as a weapon to destroy Chukwuemeka and claim an inheritance that was never rightfully hers. Chidi apologized sincerely, explaining that he'd believed Adanna's lies completely. He'd thought he was fighting for justice, not realizing he was simply another victim of her cruelty. Now, he was starting over, studying accounting at Unilag, working part-time, and volunteering to help homeless people at Falomo Bridge to honor Obiageli. Chukwuemeka, remembering his mother's saying about gathering the broken pieces of the calabash, offered Chidi an internship at his company. He chose forgiveness over bitterness, understanding that holding on to anger was like drinking poison. Despite everything, they were both survivors of Adanna's schemes, and that connection mattered. That night brought an extraordinary breakthrough. Obiageli woke with unusual clarity, remembering something crucial from the day she fled. Before leaving, she'd hidden a metal box under a loose floorboard in the kitchen of their old Surulere compound. Inside were 11 letters, one for each year until Chukwuemeka turned 18, explaining her love, her hopes, and why she'd left. Chukwuemeka immediately tracked down the current owner, Mrs. Iwol, who remembered finding a mysterious box during renovations. Her superstitious foreman had buried it in the yard instead of throwing it away. The next morning, they traveled to Surulere and dug up the rusted blue box. Inside, wrapped in degraded plastic, were all 11 letters, intact and waiting after 25 years. Each envelope was labeled for a specific age, filled with a mother's love, wisdom, and prayers for her son. As Chukwuemeka read them aloud, everyone wept. The letters proved that even when Obiageli's mind had broken, her love had never died. The final letter, meant for his 18th birthday, spoke of legacy, strength, and eternal love. It reminded him that storms make palm trees stronger and that he should be proud of who he'd become. Inspired by this discovery, Chukwuemeka bought the property and transformed it into Obiageli's house, a shelter for homeless women needing safety and healing. Mrs. Iwol donated the building to the cause. 6 months later, the shelter opened its doors. Obiageli, on her good days, volunteered there, comforting newly arrived women and sharing her story of survival. The blue metal box sat in the entrance hall as a testament to love that refuses to die. A mural appeared under Falomo Bridge where Obiageli once slept, showing a woman rising with flowers in her hands and the words, "Love buried is not love dead. It waits for the dawn." Chukwuemeka had learned the most important lesson. Love doesn't die. It waits, patient as buried letters, for the moment it can bloom again. Some wounds never fully heal, but even the darkest night eventually gives way to dawn. And sometimes that dawn is beautiful enough to make the darkness worthwhile. What an emotional journey. Did this story touch your heart? Hit that like button and subscribe for more powerful stories of family, redemption, and the strength of a mother's love. Share this with someone who needs to hear that it's never too late for healing. Comment below, what was your favorite moment in this story? And remember, wherever you are in the world, whatever you're going through, you are the dawn after darkness. Never forget that. Turn on notifications so you never miss our next incredible story. See you in the comments.